Alors,
Moi c'est Haïti. On regarde coulem ak manière moi, on va comprendre l'histoire, combat.
Dr. Francois Duvalier was born on April 14, 1907, during the administration of North Alexis. His father was Justice of the Peace. His mother was a baker. Francois Duvalier grew up during a period of turmoil and chaos in Haiti. From 1907 to 1915, when the American occupation started, Haiti flipped 8 presidents. The presidential palace exploded, burned to the ground. The president assassinated. Many political parties paid Kako gang members to assassinate sitting president. The Kako pillage and terrorized the people. In addition, Germany, which had a German community in Haiti, was looking at occupying Haiti. All those geopolitical and internal problems caused the Americans to occupy Haiti on April 4, 1915. Francois grew up in a country where 5% minority mulattoes class dominate the country wealth. The minority elite is totally in bed with the white occupiers, while mistreating the black majority. The American created the Haitian Army, the officers' corps composed of 80% mulattoes, the soldiers 100% black. The exact composition for government employees, civil servants. When Francois Duvalier finished secondary school, he entered medical school. He graduated in 1934. After his graduation, he worked in different clinics in Port-au-Prince. Later was given a scholarship to study medical management at the University of Michigan in the United States of America. Okay, so Francois lived here in the U.S. Okay, in 1943, he went to work for the American Mission to combat tropical disease, such as malaria, tuberculosis, red fever, etc. He was the first doctor to use penicillin in Haiti. During the period he was working in the rural area, getting close and personal to the peasant, he discovered that they deserved better. They were living in deplorable condition. In huts with dirt floors that were not sanitary. The way so many of them would die after a rain, a big rain or a cyclone. Their kids could not go to school to get an education. They were involved in a micro-agriculture that was keeping them poor and malnourished. The reality struck Dr. Francois Duvalier. The good doctor realized that if the peasant wants to elevate themselves, they should move to the big town, to like the city, like Port-au-Prince, where they could be close to school, medicine, pharmacy, drinking water, jobs, etc. Society was not opening doors to help the peasant and the urban masses. Perhaps he should help change the country for the better. From this point on, the great doctor developed a political and black consciousness that would propel him to develop the politic of the greatest number, la politique du plus grand nombre, a politic where you could bring power from the hand of the minority in the hand of the majority. From this point on, he read Professor Jean-Brice Mars, ethnology, African history, the voodoo, the good doctor find it necessary to have talk with voodoo priests, to have meeting with voodoo priests who were doctors and pharmacies of the peasant in the urban masses many generations before modern medicine.
Not as a politician, but as an MD is the reason why I am still interested in the medical matter. And until I will die, I'm first MD, and after that, President of the IP. It is the best time of my life when I was doing in general practicing.
In 1939, Duvalier married Simone Ovid. They had 4 kids, Denise, Nicole, Simone, Jean-Claude. During the 1941 presidential election, there were many protests about electing a black president. Black mulattoes and others agreed that it was time to select a black president. President Elie Lescaut was so racist that his racism caused his demise. First, he increased the army size by adding a group of mulatto officers. So he made the army bigger by putting a bunch of officers who were only mulattoes, only them. In 1945-4, when a group of black soldiers was plotting against his administration, he had them arrested. He ordered 7 of them to their death. He tried to prolong his term for 1946. First, illegally, he attempted to shut any opposition that triggered a big strike by the students, followed by other civil society members. The black population, populists, Marxists, all the forces joined together, demanding his departure. When all attempt failed, the military arrested him and shipped him to Jamaica. The military in 1946. The military, and Paul Jean Magloire was one of them too. From 1915 to 1945, all Haitian presidents were mulattoes and white, not one black. August 16, 1946, Dimas Estime is elected the first black administration since the American occupation of 1915 in a black country, 90% black. This black president would pull together a black administration with many former black militants now in power, opening doors for black intellectuals who never had a chance before. President Estime was known to be against of the American occupation. The mulatto bourgeoisie rejected the new administration, anti-white, anti-mulatto, and anti-America or Washington, because Estime, everybody know he was against the American occupation. Dr. Francois Duvalier was the first Minister of Health and later Minister of Labor. So the great doctor started gaining experience inside the administration, which was a noiriste, a black administration. The country is now divided. This black administration is opening doors for the majority black in universities, foreign scholarships to study in Europe or in America, organized beauty pageant. For the first time, a black woman not only participated, but was the winner. And the mulattoes didn't like that, and she got beat up. for winning because they feel she stole it. President Estime was very progressive. He built the Port-au-Prince waterfront, Bicentenaire, Belader. He organized a world fair in Haiti to develop tourism. He was a president with a great progressive vision for his homeland. At the end of his term, President Estime, just like all his predecessors, tried to prolong his mandate by amending first the Constitution, a particular article who would eliminate, after dissolving the Senate illegally, the army had to arrest him and send him to exile. So another president who didn't want to go, even though he was a good president, but his window of opportunity was closing on too fast on him. After the military coup of Demasse Estime, Colonel Paul Eugene Magloire was a member of a new military junta, then left the army and became a candidate, almost without opposition. Fenelon Alphonse, a not so popular Estime follower, was the opposition. He received 7 votes as the opposition candidate. Okay? As soon as Paul Eugene Magloire was elected president, Dr. Francois Duvalier went into hiding.
In the past, the country has been ruled only to get money and put the money in the pocket. This is what the General Paul Eugene Magloire, who is living in the United States of America, was doing when he overthrew the administration of President Estime and took his place for 6 years and a half and take all the money from the National Bank of Haiti in $19 million. And he used those millions to finance the armed invasions against the former Minister of Work, of Labor and Health of President Estime, Dr. Duvalier. He tried to kill me. He tried to kill me when he was president. It's the reason why in December 28, I was in hiding for several years. I was in hiding for several years. He wanted to kill me because he wanted me to become his minister. I refused. I said, after working with an outstanding man like President Estime, I could be the minister of President Magloire. No, I refused. He said his own why he got mad.
President Magloire was a general president who was very powerful, complete, and influential in the country. The mulatto elite consider him their man. Okay, so he was on the side of money, the clergy, and all the white people. At the same time, some people see him as a traitor because President Elie Lescaut had hired him as a chief of police by replacing Colonel Armand, a mulatto, with Magloire. He let go a mulatto and put Magloire in his place. Still, during the protests against Lescaut, Magloire was the one to remove him from power. Okay? So Magloire was just as an elevator, just take you out. Later, the same with Demasse Estime. When President Estime tried to stay in power, Magloire arrested him and brought him down. Magloire was a carrying card member of the bourgeoisie comprador that controls Haiti. Most of the time, he would be the only black face in their party. In dinner, most of the time, he'd be the only black. As a matter of fact, the mulattoes were having a party, and one mulatto who wasn't there asked another one, was there any, it was all mulatto, was there any black there? And the mulatto said, it was all mulatto in the beginning until a fly landed in the milk. Because at that time, later on, President Magloire show up. The general was a good president. General Magloire was a good president who did many suitable for the country infrastructure, tourism, geopolitics. He had an excellent relationship with Washington, especially with the administration of a former General Eisenhower. And himself, he was a general. President Magloire visited the White House. President Eisenhower received him equally, especially during the segregation period in the United States. We're talking about before Rosa Parks, before Martin Luther King and Malcolm X. Magloire was received like a white dignitary in the White House by President Eisenhower. President Magloire was a party animal. Let me tell you, this guy always having a party when he was president. And everybody know him for that. He was what you call a bambocheur in French. So he's a party animal and always having a good time, a lot of food, drink, dancing. He was a dancer. He loved to dance. So the mulattoes, they had enough for that. They wanted to put another guy in his place at the end. Okay? At the end of his mandate, Magloire wanted to return to the army, but the Joint Chief of Staff of the Army refused his return. Before he left office, Magloire handed power to a Supreme Court judge named Neumont Pierre Louis. Later, this judge passed the control to Frank Sylvain. May 25th, 1957, a week after a military coalition toppled Frank Sylvain, Port-au-Prince finds itself in the middle of a civil war. Mulattoes officers in the aviation corps armed their plane and then take to the air to attack the Dessalines military barrack, Caserne Dessalines. 4 military personnel died during the attack. Some civilian attack, okay? It's a civil war. Some other mulatto officers places a piece of artillery in front of Rexine. That's at the Champ Mars, across the street from the Caserne Dessalines, from the Dessalines military barrack. And they started firing artillery toward the Dessalines barrack. And it was Officer Dominique in Pasquet, D.S. General Léon Cantave, Chief of Staff of the Army, to resign. He refused. And they wanted to replace him with the police chief, Armand, Colonel Armand. In the middle of the Civil War, a big mob of Daniel Fiole supporters called Rouleau Compressor marching in the street demanding that Daniel Fiole be elected provisional president until the election take place. Daniel Fiole went to all the radio stations in the capital demanding to be nominated as interim president. Not a smart move, but he couldn't wait for history. Interim president. Shooting all over the place. People are dying. The National Military Council agreed to place Daniel Fiole as interim president for peace sake. The day after the May 25th Civil War, General Léon Cantave in his resignation as chief of the army. The general headquarters selected another general named Antonio Tracibul Cabro, who was in charge of the Southern Command. Even though President Fiole was not a fan of General Cabro, he accepted his nomination. He nominated Cabro. As soon as Daniel Fiole sit On the presidential chair, he declares that the upcoming election is now eliminated. He is currently president for 6 years. Since day one as president, the followers of Daniel Fiole are all in the street, in the yard of the presidential palace, running. The president declared in a speech that he will raise the salary of all workers. Soon after that, the new president demands General Cable to provide him with a list of all superior officers, name and job description. Later, the president provided the general with a list of his followers. They are to be placed in crucial function within his administration. Other officers loyal to the general should be transferred and replaced by members of the rouleau compressors, something that Cable is not going to like. Even the CIA said Daniel Fiole is here to start a Bolshevik revolution like the one in Russia and Haiti. With his MOP, Mouvement Ouvrier Paysan, Movement Workers and Peasant. This math teacher was brilliant in organizing the peasant and the working class. He could call a general strike at any time and put the country at his knees. General Cable and Port-au-Prince Police Chief Colonel Parrett decided that Daniel Fiole had to go quick. On June 14, 1957, during a cabinet meeting, the military immediately went in and placed the president under arrest. Soon after, he was driven to Minoterie, where he and his family boarded a Haitian Coast Guard ship to an airstrip at Mont Saint-Nicolas, where they boarded a awaiting military plane to Jamaica. From now on, General Cable is now head of state, the new president. His primary obligation is to organize and secure a fair election. Make sure the election not stolen from the black candidate, and the suffrage, universal suffrage of one man or woman, one vote. For the first time, the black majority will have a chance to vote for a black candidate in an election in their homeland. The Haitian presidential election of 1957, we have three candidates. Clément Jumel, former finance minister of Paul Eugene Magloire. Dr. Francois Duvalier, black majority advocate, medical doctor, and former minister of health and labor of Demarche-Estime. Louis Desjoie, mulatto, industrialist, wealthy entrepreneur, agricultural millionaire. This election represents black majority power. The mulatto elite class qualified the election as stolen by the army, especially General Antonio Cable. On September 22nd, 1957, Dr. Francois Duvalier is elected president of Haiti. A month later, October 1957, he swears in as president. In the follow-up video, you will learn how Francois Duvalier handled the powerful General Antonio Cable. That will be coming soon. Thank you.
moi c'est Haïti. Ou regarde couleur ak manière moi, ou va comprendre histoire, combat.